Hi, Ross Quintana here with Really Smarter, and today we're talking about the 3 reasons that you aren't getting for sale by owner listings. So, in my market, I was called the FSBO King, and I worked almost exclusively with for sale by owners, and this is probably maybe one of the toughest markets there is out there. And one of the things that I realized right away is that what everybody else was doing was horrible. It was the wrong approach. And just by cutting out those major mistakes that I saw everybody else doing, I knew I could go in and figure out how to scoop up the rest of the business. And that's what I did. I spent years developing my own systems and strategies for listing for sale by owners. And we were listing them probably more than any other agent in our market. And we were doing it consistently. So you know you need listings to last. I mean, that's just the way it goes. And there's almost no better source than for sale by owners. So let's dig into the 3 key things that you got to stop doing and reasons why you aren't getting the listing. Then we'll talk about what you can do to get the listings. So the first one is offering what they don't want. Right? This is just a basic understanding. Most agents are failing because they're calling them up or they're stopping by and telling them and trying to convince them how they should either hire them as an agent or how they could sell their home. But you know what you know when you see a for sale by owner sign out front? You know that they don't want a real estate agent and that they want to sell it themselves and that they believe that they can sell it themselves, so they wouldn't have the sign up front. So if you already know that and you come in and offer them essentially what they don't need, right? They've created this story in their mind that a real estate agent isn't very useful, that they can do the same thing as the real estate agent, that they're just an expense that isn't necessary, and that they're going to be successful without an agent. Now, this is the story that they're basing all of their decisions on. So when you come in and start telling them how you're an agent, and you can help them sell their home, and how great you are, or how they're going to need you, they've already determined that's not what they want. And so that's the exact wrong approach, and that's what 90% of the agents do. And that's why literally for sale by owners get inundated with agents reaching out to them, and they tell them no, 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 no. So you've got to stop that approach. There's smarter approaches, there's different approaches, and I created a whole course on my strategies that I fine-tuned over the years, and I'll tell you about that later. But the fact is trust me, that's the wrong approach. We know it doesn't work. We know that agents try it, and it doesn't work unless the sellers are literally so fed up they're ready to list. But all of the stuff that the agents were doing before that to convert them from a for sale by owner into a listing just simply don't work. So stop doing that. Stop trying to sell them services they don't want. You have to find a way to show them value. You have to find another way to create a relationship with them so that when they do want to list, and trust me, it is not easy selling a home for sale by owner. The statistics are there to prove that. So they'll figure it out. And when they do, you want to be the agent that has the relationship with them, that has the trust, and that's what is going to be a huge factor in whether or not they're going to list with you. Now, there's ways to actually expedite that process and get that to happen a lot faster, and I'm going to show you, and we're going to talk about that too. But the first one is you got to stop offering them what they don't want. Okay, if that's your approach, trust me, it isn't going to work. Number 2, you have to show them value. You see, most people don't get the listing because they're not showing them any value. They already made up in their minds that a real estate agent doesn't have any value. As a matter of fact, they think that homes sell themselves and that buyers will just find the home and then they'll probably come in and offer them exactly what they want. And they've got this delusion of how the whole process works. Anybody in real estate understands the fact that you've had a few easy deals that were super easy. But most of the time it's not easy. And most of the time things don't go as planned. And just because you got an offer doesn't mean it makes it to closing and makes it through the home inspection and all of these other things, or that they don't back out, or he didn't lose their job, or they didn't go down the street and find another home they like better. Like, there's 100 ways for things to go wrong. That's if you even find the buyer in the first place. So if you don't do any marketing and you're invisible on the internet, in these times, then you're invisible because people aren't going out. For sale by owners are actually getting harder because people aren't just going out driving around anymore. They're going on an app. They're going on a website. They're looking digitally. They're relying on referrals. If you ignore your marketing plan and don't build something around that, then you're going to be invisible to most home buyers at this point. So you have to find a way to show them that you have value. And that can't be done on the first meeting. I can tell you right now, I see tons of agents who come by and they want to go in after they meet someone for 5 minutes and then turn around and sign them up with a listing, and that's not how it works. If that's your approach, you're going to fail miserably. What I would do is find ways to develop value and to show them value, and by not trying to go for the sales approach early on in my first meeting, what I ended up doing is creating trust, breaking down sales barriers, creating a relationship and rapport, and all of those things meant that, when it was time to list, you know who they called? This guy right here. Because I had all these things in place, because I was going for the right target, right? I was showing them value, and I invested my time in showing them value and being useful to them, knowing that the process of selling for sale by owner is often a failure and ends up in a listing. I want to make sure. I don't need to convert them and convince them that it's not going to work. I don't need to tell them in the future that it's not going to work out for them. I just need to be the one in the future that they choose to hire. And that's how you'll start to really generate consistent listings. So you have to have systems in place and know what you should be talking about. That's number 2. Number 3 is no follow-up. Real estate agents are horrible at this. Even when a buyer is calling on a property, a high percentage of those buyers who are saying, I want information on this house, don't even get a call back, let alone a call back in a timely manner. So one of the things that's killing people, and it's great because all your competition, even if they took the time to go out and talk to the for sale by owner, or even if they tried to build rapport, or even if they built value in all of this, they're not likely to be there when it comes time for them to list the home. And here's why this matters, is because what happens a lot of times is that person's going to come into contact with maybe 10 or 20 agents before they actually list the home. And some of those will be phone calls. I've literally been on for sale by owner appointments where multiple calls while I was there talking to them from other agents trying to convince them to list their home were on the phone. And literally they opened up letters from other agents while I was there talking to the homeowner. So trust me, first thing you got to understand, you're not the only one talking to them. But you know what? You just need to be the right one. Because a lot of times what happens is if people don't build any value, they don't build any relationship, but they just happen to be with the one that calls them up the day after they, the husband and wife decide, I think it's time for us to move on and just hire an agent. This isn't working out. And then next day they get a letter or a call from an agent and they're like, okay, sure, come over. And they were already ready to sign. It wasn't because that agent was great. It was because that agent was there at the right time. So your follow-up matters, because if nobody's developed a relationship and nobody's shown value and really built value, then the business is just by default going to go to the person who talks to them when they're ready at the right time. And everybody who talked to them before is going to be lost. Well, it's really hard to time that. So instead you got to incubate the leads, and you have to use that time that you don't need to ask for the service, and use that to build your rapport, to show your value, and grow it that way, and then follow up consistently so that you're there, and so that even if someone knocks on the door on the day they decide, they say, you know what, nope, we're going to call that agent that we've been talking to, that we see the value in and that we have a relationship with, no matter how minor it is. The relationship doesn't have to be tremendous, because in the absence of any relationships, many for sale by owners think that all agents are the same. So if you've done anything to differentiate yourself and build value for yourself and create a bond and rapport, which can't be done when you're trying to hard sell them the minute they open the door, then you're likely to just get that business. And I would get calls all the time from people a month before, 2 weeks before, a year later, who are like, now we're ready, and they already know who they want to hire when it comes that time. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've created 2 resources for you to take this to the next level. The first one, right, is a do-it-yourself, right? You want to learn how it. I built a course, For Sale by Owner Mastery, where I break down all the strategies that I tested over the years to dominate my market. I go into the exact scripts, what to say to get the appointment, what to say when you're in the house, what to say the next time, how to build that value, how to do all of these things, stuff that's tested that I've refined over the years that I know works. It's not theoretical. And I was a top listing agent in my company, month after month using these techniques. I know that they can work for anybody. I built a course. It doesn't even cost as much as the commissions of one listing. And I can tell you right now, if you go out and you listen to that course and you pay attention, you're going to dominate your market. You're going to see your listings go up and up and up, and that's going to increase your commissions. That's just the way it works when you list more. If you have a bigger inventory, then more are going to sell, and you're going to be very busy that way. So check that out. There's a link below, and this video is also embedded in a blog post, and there's links there. The second way is what if you're not sure about that and you don't want to do it yourself. We actually have a real estate coaching and support services company. Really Smarter is what it's called, and that's where I do one of two things. Number one, one-on-one training to work through and get you to the point where you're comfortable and you're nailing these scripts and helping you answer questions and kind of really consulting you through, coaching you through that whole process. And then the other thing that we also provide is we provide other support services, which are basically, if you don't want to do it at all, do you want a social media presence and you want to set up your lead generation and have it working for you without having to understand how all that stuff works? Then we provide that service where we just take over and we do the lead generation stuff for you. And no upfront costs on those. It's actually designed in a way where you get around the upfront costs. So if you need to generate business, but you may not be closing as many sales to be able to afford that, we have plans available for that too. So check out that link is there too, whether you want to do it yourself or you want help. I hope you enjoyed this video. Love to hear your biggest challenges in working with for sale by owners below in the comments. What has worked for you and what has been your biggest challenge, and what do you feel is holding you back from generating more listings through for sale by owners? Love to hear it. I will talk to you later. Thank you.